I think the main thing to increase the confidence is start acting. Oh, I do art or design, it's not business. I really don't agree. This is the business model of Konstfack. My name is Anna Gyllenklev and I have a bachelor in ICT, Information and Communications Technology. And then I studied business development, and then after that I landed at Konstfack here. I'm doing a design ecology. I love the workshops, so we have access to wood workshop, we have print workshop, 3D workshop, and different types of ways of working. So this makes me, I can explore things with the different workshops. I have a company called Studio. So we innovate and research around the ecosystems connected to businesses. Several reasons, of course. One of them is that you have a sort of freedom over your own time, of course. And the other one is that I see that we lack this type of innovation in Sweden. So I wanted to cover that. I worked for a lot of people, and I saw a lot of shitty leaders that I worked for, and that inspired me to become a better one and start my own company. I run it with another person, so first of all we are two, so we can divide the load. The other part is of course the name. We picked a name that we changed like a half year later, and then you have to understand a lot of systems, like business systems, like Fort Knox and the economic part. That was not my thing in the beginning, but I had to learn. So I took a lot of courses in that, just to learn how to manage the finance literacy. And then of course, website. You need a brand. Do you want a brand or do you just want to be a company? We want to be a brand, so we hired an agency to do our brand. So it's a lot of decisions and a lot of tries and error, of course. I think resilience, and ask people for feedback. So, and even if you say something that I don't agree with, but it's still feedback. So I have to consider that type of feedback within my business. So I think resilience, feedback, but also perseverance. You don't give up just because you get a no. I think the main thing to increase the confidence is start acting, of course, because when you act, you increase your confidence because you tried. And along the way you also learn. So you start trying and you will at least have more data points than in the beginning. I also think it's a very good way for artists or designers to actually be more self-sufficient. They own their time better if they actually know the business side as well. The business side is not a bad thing that some artists may think. I would say it's a positive thing to understand that side as well. It's a mental state, how we perceive things. If you perceive the business as oh, it's not for me, well, it's not for you, of course, because you don't perceive it as it. I think that, and also maybe the entrepreneurial side, the network side, I think it's amazing. Just to go out and network and understand that that is also a part of the business. I think we have a very static idea of what the business is, and a need build, a picture that doesn't really exist anymore. And then we treat business from that picture. But this is just something I observed when I've been here at Konstfack. The first course I took was Business Model Innovation. And then I took Execution, Running Your Own Business. And then I did some weekend workshops. So I did biomimicry and entrepreneurship and Make It Circular. And then I also went on a digital workshop, afternoon workshop. It was crafting entrepreneurial spaces, how we need to craft spaces to increase innovation, basically, because we are building an innovation space with our company. So the first one I took, the business model innovation, is because I was interested in business models, and I wanted to know more about it. And then when I took that, it was really high level, both content-wise and structure-wise, the quality of it. So I wanted more because it was such a good quality. And then I also met, of course, a lot of people there, both from other countries and other universities that I still keep in touch with. So I think like the value that I gain is really high, even though I mean, because I do them on top of my studies. Some of the other schools do them within their program, but I think it's super valuable to have another perspective that I can bring to Konstfack. I come from a very multidisciplinary background, and this makes me like, I want to know more about everything. First it's because I'm interested in knowledge, and the second is because I use it as a strategy to meet people with the same interests. So like, I'm sure of if I'm at a weekend workshop that for Make It Circular, for example, there are other people there that are interested in circularity, for example, at least 70% of them. So I think both strategy and like just really curious about life, but also I think like we need to bridge different disciplines. And in order to bridge them, we need people that know a lot about a little. So I think I'm trying to be that person. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but this is just my perception that it's an isolated bubble of artists and designers. And then you're so into the projects you're doing, and then you forget about the outside. So you don't think about integrating your product, or you mainly think about the idea you have, and you're stuck in your workshop. I think we need to bridge the idea of the things we create in the market. Because if we create it in a bubble, we will continue be in bubbles. Yeah, we need to bridge these gaps, I think. It's crucial. And I'm not sure how to do it. Like, I just do what I know. So I reach out to people. I go to conferences and events and like try to nourish my practice, my design practice, with other things and other point of views. But this is also not always welcome, to bring these perspectives in. It's very art and design focused. So if you bring in, for example, business, it could be like, but this is business and this is design or art. So it's separated. And I mean, of course it affects the students. I think, it's an active choice for me to nourish relations. I think we need to start to do that. This is also why I spend time on other courses, because I think, I strongly believe that I can find other relationships there that we can, nourish each other. So I go to events with some of them, it's this exhibition, do you want to join? It could be like a science and art exhibition, a merge. I also ask for feedback on things I do, like, what do you think about this? Like, what's your point of view here? Because here at Konstfack, I will have mostly the point of view of industrial design. But I want to have the point of view of others as well, because I think this makes my proposal stronger in the long run. Maybe not initially, but in the long run, it will. Yeah, I would like to become a better speaker. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time, because usually the projects I do is very complex, but I not always manage to propose them in a good way. I think so. Speaking, I think, is very crucial. How do we communicate the message of the projects we do, or who we are, or yeah. I've been looking at tutorials of how do you speak, how do you become a better, and actually the other day I emailed the curator at Nobel Prize Museum and asked her for help. This is also she haven't reached back to me yet, this was yesterday, but I think reaching out and ask for guidance for people that are better than you. because this is how we become better. I still don't think I'm like the worst, but I feel I can nail my projects better if I communicate them better. Maybe like I grew up in a family where I had a lot of teachers and artists around me, and I mean they taught me to play a lot, to try and play and fail, and I think this helped me along the way, that like I see everything like as a draft, like it's not so serious, it's a draft, I can make it better next time. And I think this helps me a lot, because when you see things as like the end result, it becomes very serious. For me, creativity is one thing only. It's about boundaries, actually. So if you have no boundaries, you have everything, and if you have everything, you have nothing. So you need to set up a frame first, like this is the frame for the creativity. And then you also can like start seeing things as placeholder. For example, I'm sitting in the chair, but it's not really a chair. What is the value of the chair? I'm sitting on it, like it's helping my body to sit in a position. So when you start to think of things as placeholders instead of the thing you see, it's much easier to connect things. So you can start connecting anything. So it's basically about relating new things to each other, but then you need to break free from what it is. I did a project recently where I took out the business model canvas and I visualized this as a 3D shape. And it really looks artistic. But the feedback I got was like, this is too business. I can show it later, but it's not business. It's really design. This is mine. So in this project, we needed to pick a site, and I picked Konstfack, Konstfack's business, actually. So this is why I made a huge print of Konstfack. It's actually this lane that hall that we are standing in. This is just to situate my design proposal. So that's why I made a huge picture of it. This is just print. Really long print. So it's 420 meters times 106. It took me like a whole day to print it, actually. This is my spot. This is where I do all the magic. I just took down an exhibition, so it's very messy. This is the sculpture I talked about that was too business. This is the business model of Konstfack and usually it looks like this. It's very flat, it's a business model canvas. And I wanted to make it 3D. Yeah. I wanted to visualize the different parts and see like what happens if they are physically done. Like, and what happens if we can touch them, and like, what happens if I can like just exchange different parts? Like, would it be another discussion or a negotiation? I don't know. So my next step is to try it out with businesses to see what happens when they interact with it. I think also like my other proposal was we talk a lot about other than humans. So this is basically stakeholders that are non-humans. So it could be animals or organisms or parts of natures. So I redesigned the business model canvas to become other than humans. Because this is very human-centered, and I wanted it to be bio-centered instead. So, but it was interesting, like a lot of people were like screaming, "It doesn't work, it's for humans!" And I was like, well, let's add the animals, like, or other than humans. No! It went really crazy. So I think like if people react like that, we need to talk about it. And I think like trying to find those different perspectives, we can start to bridge like how we actually run businesses, design them, but also the things we create, the products and services. I do that when I cook all the time, like, let's bring in some of these. I mean, I think It's also like problem solving. Like if I have a problem, I look at it from several different angles. Like there is not one solution, there is plenty. Like which is the best one and how can I address it? And also think like the first thing that you think might not be the best. Like because you're like, oh, let's solve it like that. Why? Like ask why several times. And you can like find other ways of doing it. And sometimes the simplest way is the hardest to find actually, because we don't think like that. Bring maybe a friend and go to something, or go alone. Sometimes it's actually easier to go alone. I go alone a lot because it makes me like a blank sheet. I think it's interesting, like that the people I connect with then are like, who are you? No one is related to me. But I also think like you can also set up like goals, like I should go on one thing, networking, twice a month. And in the end it will become better actually. But we are also different. Maybe it's easier to do a digital networking if you are an introvert. I think you need to find the ways that suits you and not like look at how everyone else is doing, because there is also like not one way of doing it. I think we get influenced of everything that we surround us with. I think it might be easier to scale, or easier to like lost your spirit. Because if you're like looking for likes, for example, you are going to go that path. So you're going to create things for likes. But if you're like looking for creating things that you really enjoy, you need maybe not to look at the likes. You need to look at like what the core of you, like this makes me spark. So I think like not doing things for others actually, in one sense, when you do art and design. Yeah, I think it's the reach that I talked about before, like that we can scale up and that we actually can like use it as an extension of ourselves. It can have a life on its own when I sleep. Like, I think that's good.